Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Mai Demizu.
And I'm Masuko Tsuda.
Every week, we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from a studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
Channel Japan Ranking.
First up is Channel Japan Ranking, in which we rank some of the hottest products and services in the country. Well, today's theme is canned foods.
Now, we have a ranking based on an online survey conducted by a major food product corporation about emergency food supplies. And here are the top 5 foods that people in Japan store for emergency purposes.
I see.
So at the top is canned foods, and then drinking water, cup noodles, retort pouch foods, etc.
Well, ever since the earthquake and tsunami in March 2011, people seems to be more concerned about storing an emergency food supply.
Yes, I think that's the case. And according to the same online survey, more than half of the people that answered said that they store an emergency supply of food at home.
In ranked first place, canned food, what's the popularity behind it?
Well, canned products have a long shelf life and are easy to store, and on top of that they're very convenient as they don't usually need any cooking. And recently canned foods aren't only just for emergency foods or because they have a long shelf life, but they're enjoyed as tasty appetizers or easy to prepare side dishes. And many recipe books are out there actually using canned foods, and new ways to use canned foods are drawing attention.
I see. Well, so today we look at the latest trend on canned food in Japan. Let's take a look.
Canned products have entered a new era since the Great East Japan earthquake. Well-known products have been revived with new strategies. Even expensive ingredients are now made into canned products. The cans are sold out everywhere. We will be looking at the front lines of a new generation of canned products.
サンマのが好き。夏はツナとか。
To find out the latest news on canned products that are convenient and have a long shelf life, we have come to a department store at Tokyo Station. In the liquor section, we find many cans developed to accompany alcohol. Western-style canned foods with wines and Japanese canned foods with Japanese alcohol are shelved together. As a side dish for sake and shochu, here is grilled chicken. The chicken is slowly grilled with charcoal and flavored with salt. To go with wine and beer, here is sea urchin in consommé gelée. Mouth-watering fresh sea urchin is wrapped in a gelée to enhance its taste. Ranging from $4 to $10 a can, it is quite pricey for canned food. But it is becoming popular nowadays for people to enjoy sumptuous foods at home, so the products have been flying off the shelves.
よくできた商品が多いですので、口コミで広がっておりまして、もう一品料理として缶詰というのが捉えられているのかなというふうに思っています。
We heard there were even more expensive canned foods, so we have come to Tokyo Skytree. One can costs a whopping $105. Inside, there are wild abalones caught by ama divers of Mie Prefecture, stewed in a special sauce. A can of Matsuzaka beef simmered in Japanese-style sauce sells for $51. A block of the highest A5 rank Matsuzaka beef is encased inside. Do people actually pay such high prices for canned foods?
珍しかったですね。手に取っていただくことが非常に多いですね。
So it seems they are not exactly bestsellers. The best-selling cans are these smoked oysters at $5 a can. Oysters from Hiroshima Prefecture are smoked and canned. This store also has a restaurant using canned foods to inspire customers into eating the products in a new, delightful way. Pieces of canned bacon are fried and mixed with eggs to make a rice bowl. Other popular dishes are the ochazuke rice bowl with canned sauri and rice cooked with scallops and broth. The 3 rice dishes are all around $5. The reasonable price is achievable because the cans do not require much cooking costs. The canned foods industry is evolving and expanding. We heard canned tuna was shifting to a fancier product, and so we have arrived at a manufacturing facility.
これはビンナガマグロという一本釣りで取った日本の近海で取れたマグロになります。
Around 1,300 albacore tunas are continuously transferred into containers. In the past, this company used yellowfin tuna and skipjack tuna as ingredients, but has developed a new product using the more expensive albacore, often eaten as sushi. The tuna are delivered here frozen and are slowly defrosted for an entire day under running water. Next is the cutting process. With accurate and speedy movements, the unnecessary parts, such as the head, internal organs, and the tail, are removed. The meat of the fish that is left is steamed with vapor that is 100 degrees Celsius. The meat is left in the steamer for a full day. And out comes the very hot albacore tuna meat. When flaked, the white meat is soft. Then, a crucial process in preparing the fish to be canned takes place. The process is performed not by machines, but by 50 employees in hygienic uniforms. At an extraordinary speed, they remove pieces of the fish that are bloody and small bones by hand.
一匹一匹形が違いますんで、なかなか機械化できない貴重なマグロという資源ですんで、たくさんの知識を作ろうとした時にはやはり人間の手でやるのが一番確実であるし。
Here is the fish meat that passed the examination. Now, a different set of employees flake the meat to a hand-size portion. Then, a special machine flakes the meat into smaller, finer pieces. Next awaits a gigantic machine. The finely flaked meat is rushed into cans at a high speed. This machine cans 200 cans in a minute.
重さを測りまして、ちゃんと入っているかどうか、多い少ないについてはこちら側に流れます。で、人間で手直しをします。
Oil and a specially made flavoring are added. The lid is sealed on and the albacore tuna can is done.
こちらがキハダマグロの
そうですね。はい、こちらがキハダマグロです。
こちらがビンチョウマグロ。
はい。
こんなに色が違うんですね。
This is made when albacore is cheaper and when in season. So a can goes for under $2 and is sold for a limited time. But there is a much pricier canned food that is more popular than the albacore tuna can. Here is the lightly grilled canned fatty tuna.
数量的にですね、たくさんできるものではございませんので、お叱りを受けることもあります。
Even under $5 a can, it is so popular that production can't catch up. Consumers are complaining for its shortage. The reason why it's so popular is because of how rare fatty tuna is and how the product is actually manufactured. The fatty portion of yellowfin tuna is steamed once and then grilled. The key is how it is grilled. With a high-temperature flame, the softness of the inside layer is maintained, while the outside is grilled. To prevent the meat from flaking, it is canned by hand. The fish meat is stripped per layer, weighed, and placed into cans. The machine puts the lid on to finish the product. The very rare fatty tuna is cooked with care to create this high-end product.
焼くことによって余分な油だとかも落ちてますんで、そういう意味では身が本当にしっかりできてるかと思います。そのままオードブル的な形でですね、食されている方が多いようです。
In order to reach customers with a taste for extravagance, the familiar canned tuna continues to evolve. The canned foods industry is expanding beyond the realms of ordinary preserved foods. In September 2013, a canned foods exhibition was held in Tokyo. Many unique canned foods were introduced. One of the best-selling series is the Thai curry series with 3 different flavors: red, yellow, and green. Delivered directly from a Thai factory, this authentic curry is sold at about $1 a can. Its popularity grew by word of mouth, and a recipe book for this product has been published. These cans are sold out in many supermarkets. But why canned foods? Why now? Hayato Kurokawa, who has eaten over 1,000 different canned products from all over the world, claims the March 2011 disaster is one of the reasons.
ゆっくり注目度が高まってた中で、東日本大震災で大きく見直されたと。で、それに対してメーカーさんもですね、今まで以上に面白い新しいものを出そうと頑張っている。そういう状況だと思ってます。
To see Japan's largest canned food stockpile, we have now come to Roppongi Hills, which is one of Tokyo's urban commercial centers. A warehouse that is 250 square meters is filled with piles and piles of canned food. The total number is an astonishing 20,000. In case of a disaster, the facilities at Roppongi Hills can take in 30,000 people and is also Japan's largest food storage warehouse.
逃げ出す街から逃げ込める街へというコンセプトのもとにですね、安全な街づくりを進めていこうという中で、こういった食料を含めてですね、備蓄が必要だろうということで備蓄をしております。
Here there are canned foods, water, and crackers for long-term storage, and many other foods such as miso soup and steamed rice. There is a wide variety of preserved foods, so evacuees do not get bored of the food. Even though they have a long shelf life, cans are better eaten by the expiration date. So today, we introduce an easy yet authentic dish using canned mackerels and whole tomatoes. Uguka Okada, whose recipes are very popular on the internet, shows us how. The ingredients are canned mackerels, canned whole tomatoes, onions, curry root, and a bay leaf. Just 5 ingredients and we're good to go. Onions are cut into chunks and placed into a pot along with the liquid from the mackerel can. This easy step is the key to this recipe.
ブイヤベースっていうことなんですね。で、ブイヤベースは本当いろんな海の幸ってことなんですけど、このサバの水煮缶の旨味がとっても美味しいので、とっても美味しいシチューになります。
The tomatoes are added, then water, and once it comes to a boil, the curry roux is added. The lid is placed on and left to simmer for 20 minutes.
ほぐれてますからこのまま入れていきます。
Lastly, the mackerel is added, and a Mediterranean-style canned mackerel stew is finished. The ingredients for 3 servings adds up to mere $3. It only takes 30 minutes to prepare, but her family loves this dish.
美味しいです。
缶詰だからすごい作るのが簡単らしいんですけど、それでも美味しいです、すごく。はい。
It may be just a can, but the possibilities for new recipes are endless.
Well, I had an image that the canned foods are for emergency purposes, but it's amazing how can it be used for ingredient for a variety of recipes.
I know.
They look delicious.
They did look delicious, didn't they? And although you can buy fresh ingredients and deli foods easily at anywhere, convenience stores and supermarkets these days, I think canned foods must really come in handy as well. And also the woman in the video used the ingredients in the can as well as the soup. And so by coming up with different ways to use these cans, the possibilities must be limitless.
And speaking of possibilities, food that weren't canned in the past, like Thai curry, they're canned now.
Yes, they seem to be popular here. And just to show you some unique other canned foods, this is oden kanzume. And just to explain, oden is a type of Japanese hot pot. This is a picture of the dish oden. And kanzume means put in a can, so it's actually a hot pot put in a can. And these are the canned versions. It became quite a fad since it was sold in vending machines, and people could enjoy a hot pot even on the streets.
Well, I have a feeling that we will continue to see more dishes made into cans. Well, that's it for Channel Japan Ranking. After the break, we'll be showing you a popular documentary program. Stay tuned.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do this? We make things like this possible through the power of chemistry. We're the Kaiteki Company, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings.
SG Holdings began as a delivery company in Kyoto in 1957. We have grown to provide a wide variety of key business services, including logistical support, all across Japan. Reliability and achievement have defined and distinguished us on the Japanese business scene. With heartfelt bonds that connect us to each and every one of our customers. The passage of time has seen our sphere of operations expand from Japan into Asia and across the globe. We will continue to strive to link up people while supporting businesses worldwide. We will also create new value that contributes to a brighter and more expansive future. We make it our mission to connect people and companies around the world. SG Holdings.
Through its World Heritage educational programs, Panasonic is teaching children the importance of protecting the environment. By supporting the conservation of World Heritage sites and providing environmental education, Panasonic is helping the next generation to achieve a sustainable lifestyle.
Panasonic.
Mitsui & Company.
Sasuke, a new type of sports entertainment program conquering the world.
It's about human achievement and people's passions, and I think that relates to almost everybody.
From Japan to the world, Ninja Warrior, Tokyo Broadcasting System.
You're watching Channel Japan. In our next segment, we show you a popular documentary program. Today, we show you A Japanese Dream by TBS. We'll be showing you a doctor who, for the first time in the world, was able to pinpoint the mechanism behind fatigue.
Pain, fever and exhaustion are the three main symptoms when the body is in poor condition. However, there was no method to objectively diagnose fatigue up until now. People suffer from tiredness on a daily basis, and Dr. Yasuyoshi Watanabe, who's a special appointment professor at Osaka City University, scientifically analyzed fatigue and succeeded in measuring how tired someone can be.
The Japanese word karoshi means death from overwork has now become a universal term. Today we follow Dr. Watanabe in his strenuous effort to prevent people from suddenly dying from excessive work. Take a look.
In summer, many people experience fatigue from the heat. Do you know what causes fatigue?
俗に言う、乳酸値が高くなるとか言いますよね、疲れてきたら。
乳酸が溜まるとか。
Many believe that lactic acid causes fatigue. However,
ただ乳酸が疲労の原因物質だっていうのは全くの濡れ衣で、都市伝説ですね。
we give you a close look at one man's attempt to save Japan from the malaise of fatigue. Osaka City University Hospital has a clinic specializing in fatigue. Chronic fatigue is often misdiagnosed as depression. It is not uncommon for patients to have come here after seeking a diagnosis at many hospitals.
正直ここへ来て病名がついた時には本当にもうそれだけですごく救われたんですよ。
Dr. Yasuyoshi Watanabe, who founded the first clinic of its kind in Japan, has a unique approach toward fatigue. He developed a device called the fatigue meter. Like a thermometer, it measures and quantifies fatigue instead of relying on patients' self-perception.
疲労度計で測定してある程度以上の疲労の人には強制的にその休みを取っていただくような仕組み、そういうものを作っていけば過労死を減らすことはできると思っています。
After 15 years and $30 million, Watanabe has identified a substance that is highly effective in promoting fatigue recovery.
I have a dream.
What is the true culprit that causes fatigue? A government-funded project team led by Watanabe was formed to answer that question. The team collected blood and hormone samples from study participants after they were subjected to physical duress and analyzed approximately 100 substances. 6 years after the project began, they finally identified a key factor in fatigue that was also linked with aging.
疲労の原因は活性酸素ですね。これは私たちが活動すると必ずエネルギーを作るための副産物として出てくるものです。でこの活性酸素が処理しきれなくなってくるとこの細胞全体が非常に傷ついた状況。これが疲労。
Humans convert food and oxygen into energy. A certain percentage of inhaled oxygen is transformed into reactive oxygen. Although reactive oxygen helps defeat pathogens within the body, when there is too much of it due to overwork, it can damage even normal cells. Fatigue is a state in which damaged cells accumulate within the body without being repaired.
男性の場合、この疲労のアンケートを取りますと、ピークは4、50代です。特に、過労から生じるいろいろな病気になったり、あるいは過労死を迎えたりというのは、ぜひとも何とかしたいですね。
Watanabe debunked the existing theory that lactic acid caused fatigue and revealed reactive oxygen's role in the mechanisms of fatigue. His findings surprised researchers worldwide.
今、非常に日本でよく使われている内科学の代表的な教科書です。疲労検体という、そういう症候学の非常に重要なですね、プライマリーケアでは全く出ていないということが、一つあります。それはもうまさにその医学医療の忘れ物というところが非常に色濃く出ているんだろうと思います。
When Watanabe realized how neglected fatigue was, he felt that conducting research would help advance medicine as well. In 1999, the government set aside a budget for fatigue research. Watanabe was chosen to lead a team comprised of 25 universities and research institutions. Driven by his desire to help Japan overcome the epidemic of fatigue, Watanabe devoted himself to his research. However,
やっぱりエリートの研究者から見ると、疲労って何やってんのってちょっとなんとなくうさんくさい目で見られるところがあって、大事なその、方向性だと思ってるんですけど、なかなかそれが分かってくれる人がいないんですよね。
Whenever he felt isolated and misunderstood, Watanabe drew on the following words.
自分の道というのは自分にしかわからないし、基本的には人のやらないことをやる、自分一人になってもやるということですかね。
Only he could determine his own path. Watanabe had to deliver groundbreaking results to convince his colleagues of his research's value. Watanabe decided to set a plan in motion with the $30 million in funds he'd received from the government and various companies. He analyzed and compared every single substance thought to be involved in fatigue recovery. He eventually identified the most effective substance of them all.
通称今イミダペプチドと言ってますけれども、そういった疲労のメカニズムにのっとったいくつかの信号ですね、それをしっかりと抑えるというベストの物質として、それを証明することができたというのがイミダペプチドです。
Although most substances involved in fatigue recovery are dispersed throughout the body, the imidapeptide is active in selected areas that are prone to fatigue, allowing it to be more efficient. Watanabe's research showed that a continuous daily imidapeptide intake of 200 milligrams is sufficient to have a measurable effect on fatigue recovery. The imidapeptide is present in large quantities in fish and poultry. Consuming 80 grams of tuna or 100 grams of chicken breast per day is sufficient. To prevent death caused by overworking, it is necessary to use an objective measure for fatigue. Watanabe then turned his efforts towards quantifying fatigue. Until that point, surveys were the primary instrument used to measure fatigue. They relied on the patient's subjective opinion and prevented effective treatment. Watanabe sought to develop a technology that would measure fatigue easily and accurately without measures such as blood tests.
患者さんという対象がありますから、 治療していきたい。その時に治療の指標になって、じゃあ良くなったっていうのが先生良くなりましたっていう言葉だけではダメなので、やっぱり何かちゃんとした計測でそれを示していきたいと。
He sought to measure whether the autonomic nervous system was in a balanced state. The autonomic nervous system has two subsystems. One is the sympathetic nervous system, which is dominant when the body is highly active. The other is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is dominant when the body is at rest. When the two subsystems are in balance, it indicates low fatigue. When they are not in balance, it indicates severe fatigue. Watanabe developed a way to measure that balance by taking pulse and ECG readings.
この中にセンサー部分が両側にこう収まっていまして、人差し指でこれを押さえて計測をしていく、そういう形になります。
The assessment only takes 2.5 minutes. Scores from 0.8 to 2.0 are considered normal. Watanabe's reading fell within that range. He also measured the functional age of his autonomic nervous system. Readings from 2,000 people were taken, and averages were derived for each age group to determine functional age. Although Watanabe is 62 years old, his autonomic nervous system's functional age was deemed to be 70. The device's final assessment takes the balance of the two subsystems and the functional age into account, and places people in one of three categories of fatigue. 15 years after beginning development, the innovative fatigue meter has finally been completed. In July 2013, an area to use the fatigue meters was set up in Osaka. 12 devices were made available for the public. After seeing evidence of their fatigue, the public's response has been positive.
機能年齢が自分の年齢より上に出ているんですけど、そんなに疲れてるつもりではなかったので、ちょっと意外な結果だなと思いました。
実際に値として見てみると、ちょっとお疲れかもしれないですねっていうふうに言っていただいたので、自分ではそう意識してないところを気づけたっていうのはあります。はい、
今流行りの見える化されたっていうのが斬新というか、新しいような印象を受けました。
こういうのがもっと気軽に携帯アプリなどで測れるともっといいかなって、毎日測れたりするので、もっと自己管理とかもしやすいかなと思いました。
ありがとうございます。いや、素晴らしい。決して今まで疲労度ってのを測れるそういう場所も機会もなかったので、それは聞かせてもらって非常にありがたいコメントというか、もっと進化してものをやろうと思う勇気が湧いてきますけどね。自分も頑張っていろんなことにチャレンジしていきますけど、やっぱりそれをついてきてくれる人っていうか、今もたくさんの若い人が一緒にやってくれてますけど、もっと言えば子供たちの世代、それからもっと私孫もまだいませんけど孫の世代、みんなそういう人たちがつながっていくような、そういうセンターとか場所を作っていきたいですね。
By being able to measure one's fatigue level and know if it's just a feeling or it's actually the body, it's actually in bad shape, I think it's very helpful for people to maintain one's health.
It would be, wouldn't it? I agree. Now, unfortunately, the Japanese term karoshi is actually now used worldwide, and in Japan it's difficult to gain acknowledgement that a death is work-related. And in 2011 there were 121 work-related deaths, but inferring from the number of deaths due to circulatory system diseases, it is said that there could be tens of thousands of deaths actually caused by working extremely long hours.
Well, why do people work to that extent?
Well, one of the reasons is because the brain actually stops recognizing fatigue and people continue to push themselves, and so the body continues to suffer, causing cerebral hemorrhages and heart failure, which leads to death.
I see. So if people can check their fatigue levels not only when they're tired but on a regular basis, well, the circumstances leading to this karoshi, maybe it can be prevented beforehand.
That is the hope and possibility. Japan's Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare also states that it is important for people to recognize how tired they are and that they manage their health.
Well, it's very important for people to understand their bodies, and one way to do so is probably checking their fatigue levels. Well, after the break, we'll be showing you our popular economics program, Gachiri Monday. Don't go away.
Hey, look at this. They're building a huge steel plant with Kobelco technology.
Kobelco? Never heard of it.
It's Japanese. They can make iron with incredible speed. What once took 8 hours can be done in just 10 minutes.
Wow, the Japanese are incredible. The country of karate.
Ha! 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 Karate has nothing to do with it.
True.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
Trading card games transcend generations as well as borders. Trading card games will unite the world. However, the possibilities do not simply end there. Trading card games combine the different forms of entertainment, and fun will link the world as one. Bushiroad.
Together, let's generate happiness. Let's raise the world to new heights. Let's carry our dreams further. At the heart of society, Toshiba Technology. For a growing future, Toshiba. Together, let's create better healthcare. Let's develop a sustainable environment. Let's give children a promising tomorrow. At the heart of society, Toshiba Technology. For a growing future, Toshiba.
The view is almost like peering down on the star-filled night sky at your feet. It's the city at night seen from a height of 450 meters. Make unforgettable memories. City lights stretching for as far as the eye can see. Find it at Tokyo Skytree.
Asia, the engine of the global economy. Japan, a regional powerhouse. And now, direct from Japan, economic news with a global impact in Chinese, delivered by Nikkei. Read the future, lead the economy. Nikkei, Japan's leading media for business.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we'll be showing you an episode from popular economics program, Gachiri Monday, produced by TBS. Today's theme is businesses that people are rushing to visit and tour.
And there are companies where many other businesses and governmental organizations wish to visit to see and learn about what's taking place behind the doors. And so today we discover the secret behind the high numbers of visitors to such companies.
What are their business models that attract so much attention? Let's take a look.
Our first stop is a company that makes dies and molds and manufactures parts for precision machines in Nagano Prefecture. Apparently, it receives about 200 visitors a month when busy. The visitors come to see a particular facility in this company.
昨年新しい工場を作りまして、その夢工場を見に来られる方が多いです。夢工場の方移動しますのでよろしくお願いします。
Members of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Tsubame City, Niigata Prefecture have come to visit.
そうですか。ここはもう全然一筆頑張って書きました。かもしれない。これから10メーターまで下がりますので、はい、どうぞどうぞ。
It takes 30 seconds by elevator.
はい。こちらがですね、先ほどご紹介させていただいた地下工場。ちょうどこの駐車場の下がですね、先ほどプレゼンの中でご紹介させていただいた地下工場になります。
This factory, underneath a car park, is the company's dream come true facility. It's 2,400 square meters, the equivalent of 9 tennis courts. Metal molds for ultra-precise components are made here. He says that the parts can be made even more precise when underground.
地下というのは地熱をうまく有効利用することができますので、非常に省エネで安定した温度コントロールするのが容易です。
Humidity must always be constant to make precise metal molds. The humidity of the rooms in this factory is kept at 45%, with a temperature at 23 degrees Celsius, 24 hours a day. Air conditioning costs would be pretty high if this was attempted above ground, but at 11 meters below ground, the temperature remains at 16 to 17 degrees throughout the year, so plenty of money can be saved on electricity. There's also another important point about this factory.
外部からの振動をシャットダウンできるっていう要因もありますので、安定した高精度に加工ができますので、そういった意味で地下というものを選んでいます。
Even small vibrations that we cannot feel can greatly affect the process of manufacturing metal molds. But in secure areas 11 meters below ground, almost nothing is felt, even a small earthquake. Because the number of external vibrations has gone down since work began underground, the surface of the products has become much smoother compared to those made above ground.
やっぱりなんか集中できるかもしれないですね、仕事に。半分は閉じ込められてるのかもしれないですけど、思いっきり集中して仕事ができるかなっていう。
The factory cost $28 million to build. The company's annual sales come to $20 million, so they are in the red. However,
リスクはあるにせよやっていかないと僕らのものづくりなくなっちゃうので、はい。
自信たっぷりですね、でもね。
自信というかやらなければいけないってことですよね。はい。
Thanks to the increasing number of visitors, the company and its technology are becoming more known and gaining a sound reputation. Sales are said to be increasing. Our next stop is a textiles factory in Shizuoka Prefecture. We looked at why it attracts visitors.
そうですね。月10回ほど来られます。はい。ここにですね。
Visitors include domestic and international designers and buyers from clothing manufacturers.
糸がね、細いんです。とにかく誰も織ったことのないような細い糸を織っています。
Visitors come to see material made with this fine thread. Although it's cotton, it's softer than silk.
糸が細いからこのように透けてくるんですよね。
For example, a typical shirt.
40番から50番ぐらいの糸の太さになりますね。
The numbers refer to the thickness of the thread. The higher the number, the finer the thread. The thicknesses of these threads are 30 and 120 respectively. 120 is much finer. It's most common to use thread with a thickness of 80, but this company uses a different thickness.
140番。
140番。
そうですね。
これを折れるのが福田織物だけなんですか？
あ、今のこの140番は他社で折ってるの聞いたことはないですね。
Textiles made from the extra fine thread are thin and supple compared to those made from the usual thickness of thread. At 25 grams per square meter, its extremely lightweight is a selling point. A buyer has come to visit the textiles factory.
そうですね、ここに来ないと入れませんね。
お世話になっております。
いらっしゃいませ。
こんにちは、お世話になっております。高島屋になります。高島屋さん。はい。
This buyer for a major department store has come from Tokyo to take a look at the fabric made from extremely fine thread. She also tours the factory making it.
今やってる120番ストール、まずここで折ってますので。これが140番ですね。そうですね。やっぱり見た目にはわからないんですけど、織りは相当難しくなりますね。
A paste is added to the extra fine thread before it's used for weaving. The paste makes the thread stronger so it doesn't break. They said that figuring out the right amount of paste was difficult. The machines used for weaving the extra fine thread seemed to be quite old.
これは細いものを織るって新しい機械では織れないんですよね。新しい機械は高速すぎちゃって細い糸がついていかないんですね。うちは逆に回転を下げて糸が耐えられるようなスピードで織ってるんですね。そうなんです。
Extremely fine thread must be used on a slow machine, as it will break if used with the fast ones of today. The factory therefore looks for old machines from across Japan, renovates and uses them. This is what the buyer had to say.
こうやって細い糸が織られているんだっていうのがよくわかりました。
This stole is expensive at $189, but it's popular in fashion circles and has appeared in magazines. Next, we visited a tea plantation run by a farmers' cooperative in the mountains of Oita Prefecture. This tea plantation's unique operation has attracted visitors from various sectors.
多い時には月4、5件ですかね。はい。
About 40 groups visited in 2013 alone. Even the Prime Minister visited in May. This huge tea plantation is said to be the largest in Japan. But the size is not the only thing visitors are interested in.
私の会社の母体がですね、建設業をやってるんで、その建設業のノウハウを入れて作ってある畑でもあるわけなんですよね。
The plantation is run by a construction firm that had no previous connection to tea. This venture became popular, and now other construction firms and public administrations are visiting. This land was formerly an abandoned field, but in 2006 it was bought by a local construction company. The firm learned some cultivation skills from a major tea and beverage producer and established a tea plantation. The secret to its success is something unique to the construction firm. When running a tea plantation, this is what's most difficult.
お茶の苗木をですね、植えて、その植えたお茶の木よりも雑草の方がですね、上に伸びちゃうとお茶の木も育たないし、それから土の中の肥料も雑草がね吸い取ってお茶の木に行かないんですよね。
A tea plantation's biggest enemy is weeds, but frequently removing them is extremely difficult. So the first thing the company did to stop the weeds from growing was to plow the soil with heavy machinery. replacing the soil on the surface with soil from deeper under. Then it placed some wooden chips between the plants.
土の上にチップ乗せてますから草が芽が出ないと雑草の芽が出ないということですよね。はい。
The wooden chips are made from leftover material from the company's construction business. Using heavy equipment, they were also buried 20 centimeters deep. Stopping the weeds from growing reduces costs significantly. This profitable tea plantation has attracted much attention. The company is now aiming to create a 60-hectare field, twice as big as this one. Our next stop is a company in Edogawa Ward, Tokyo, displaying the word sandblasting.
おはようございます。
おはようございます。
We asked what sandblasting meant.
ですね、サンドブラストっていうのはですね、風の流れに乗せて粉を吹きつける技術です。面を荒らしたりとかですね、あとバリを取ったりとか汚れをクリーニングしたり、代表的なところはそれぐらいですね。
Sandblasting involves blowing a fine powder onto metal to scrape and polish the surface. The company is Japan's #1 pioneer of this technique. Visitors flock to see this company's world-class sandblasting process. Even the emperor visited in autumn 2 years ago. We had a look for ourselves. First, you polish. Sandblasting this coin and key removes all the dirt extremely quickly, making the items shine once more. Something that was this dirty is now shiny.
今回は柔らかい玉を使うことによりまして、強く削らずに表面だけを優しく削るっていうことで磨き上げております。
Sirius is a new processing technology that involves a soft abrasive the company developed itself to remove dirt without damaging the surface.
普通の磨きだとどんどん平らになっていってしまうんですけれど、シリウス磨きの場合には凹凸は凹凸のまま全部を磨くということができます。
We compared an item polished with an ordinary abrasive and one that was polished through Sirius. It's clear that all edges remain on the item polished through Sirius. There are over 300 other abrasives that contain crushed particles such as walnuts and peach seeds. Knowing how to use these depending on the purpose is another skill. The company also uses abrasives to roughen surfaces. By blowing the abrasive onto a light titanium plate, the surface is roughened and the shine reduced.
屋根瓦として使われております。はい。
これ軽いですもんね、これね。
そうですね。チタン製の板を使っておりまして、昔のその土瓦の風合いというのを再現するために荒らしております。
Sensoji Temple in Asakusa was re-roofed in 2010. Now the roof tiles are all titanium plates processed with the company's sandblasting technique. These titanium tiles are much lighter than before and are more durable. The ridge end tiles were also made with the same technique. This sandblasting is one of the world's most advanced and is likely to attract even more attention in the future.
Well, everyone seems to be very enthusiastic to gain inspiration from other companies by visiting and touring.
They certainly were. And travel agencies are actually coming up with tour packages for visits and tours to observe companies not only here in Japan but overseas as well.
So for travel agencies, it's very beneficial because it must be a new market for them.
You may be right. And these overseas visits don't just take place in companies, but sometimes they actually visit governmental organizations as well. And the purpose is to understand the structure of administrations in different countries, and the experience and information gained will actually help companies make decisions about business developments.
So to be able to see what's happening in other businesses and governments outside of their own, it must be quite an eye-opening experience for them. And maybe companies that are taking in visitors see it as an opportunity to promote themselves and also for a new business transaction in the future. Well, that's it for this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so make sure to tune in next week.
Traditional,
Consistent.
precise,
Speedy.
professional, innovative,
Polite. Quality from Japan. The best of business in Asia. SMBC. Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation.
For Earth for Life, Kubota.
One day has finished, and one new day has started on somewhere in the world. Kubota supports every moment somewhere out in the world. By the mechanization of agriculture, by the maintenance of water infrastructure, by the latest environmental engineering. We support a prosperous life for humans while protecting the environment of this beautiful Earth. Food, water, and the environment link the world. Kubota.
Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.
As the future evolves, Toyota is envisioning a more interconnected life where information and energy flow seamlessly throughout the globe. The road ahead will require diverse and eco-friendly mobility solutions. It is on this path that our small choices lead to big changes. Life. Connected. Toyota.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.